You can't tell them, oh, everything happens for a reason. It'll be okay. You're going to be fine. No, you go in there and put your arm around them and say, hey, this is bad. This absolutely sucks. My heart goes out to you. Can I help with anything? This is really bad. And that is how you confront a situation that is awful. You don't come and say, oh, everything happens for a reason. It'll be okay. It's all going to be fine. You're going to get a new house, or you're going to get well. You're going to overcome this illness with positivity. Absolutely not. No, that's toxic. And that's not even positivity. That's stupidity. Hey, Kathy Owen here, and welcome to my YouTube channel where I talk about transforming your life in magic fashion. Today, we're going to talk about toxic positivity. What is it and what it isn't? My name is Kathy Owen, certified fitness trainer and life coach since 2002. As a survivor of complex post-traumatic stress disorder and narcissistic abuse, today I teach others how to transform their lives in magic fashion. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell so you never miss a notification of a video coming from me. You know, I ran into such defensive when people called me toxic positivity. Why? Because I'm a survivor of complex post-traumatic stress disorder and narcissistic abuse, and I got defensive because I'm like, dude, you have no idea what I went through. No idea. I was divorced in 2000. My ex married his secretary, who was a dancer before that, which is where they met. And she's also narcissistic personality disorder. And they abused the crap out of me. They took my boys from me. They raised my boys with their narcissistic tendencies, which totally affected the dysfunction that went on and still goes on to this day. And so, yeah, I've been through a lot of crap, but guess what? Positivity saved my life. It saved my life, but I had to get out of the stages of grief, which are, I'm going to list them right here. We've got shock and denial. We have pain and guilt. We have depression. We have the upward turn. We have reconstruction and working through. And we also have acceptance and hope. And not until you are at least in the upward turn can you even look at positivity as something to look at through a traumatic event. And actually, you cycle through these stages of grief. So if you have somebody who is in shock and denial, pain and guilt, there's anger there, and there's no only thing you can do is empathize with them at that point. They cannot see positivity as not toxic. It's forcing positivity. You can't tell somebody, oh man, get over it. You know, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. Tomorrow you'll get over it. Absolutely not. Not when you're in narcissistic abuse and post-traumatic stress disorder. Absolutely not. In the Texas freeze, one of my friends lost everything in their home. Everything. They came home from out of town to a house full of water, 27 pipe leaks. They lost their sheetrock. The roofs came in, ceilings came in. So much destruction, so much trauma. That's a traumatic event. To walk into your house at 5 a.m. in the morning after a nice long trip that you got snowed in on, actually, and come home to see your house like that. You lose keepsakes. You lose so many things. You can't tell them, oh, everything happens for a reason. It'll be okay. You're going to be fine. No, you go in there and put your arm around them and say, hey, this is bad. This absolutely sucks. My heart goes out to you. Can I help with anything? This is really bad. And that is how you confront a situation that is awful. You don't come and say, everything happens for a reason. It'll be okay. It's all going to be fine. You're going to get a new house, or you're going to get well. You're going to overcome this illness with positivity. Absolutely not. No, that's toxic. And that's not even positivity. That's stupidity. Toxic positivity, I like to say, is a term that the kids came up with nowadays. And I can say that because I'm not a kid. Not even close. Same age as the Super Bowl, and dang proud of it. Yeah, the kids call positivity toxic, and I have even been called toxic positivity, which cracks me up. The only time positivity can be toxic is when it is forced. For example, if somebody is going through the stages of grief, do not confront them with positivity. That is stupidity, or a oxymoron, like the word toxic positivity. Let's say you just got confronted with a loss, a tragic immediate loss of a family member, or a diagnosis of a serious health condition. You are not going to go and listen to somebody say, well, everything happens for a reason. Think positive and you'll overcome this. Abso-freaking-lutely not. That is plain ass stupidity. The positivity that I teach comes like this. When somebody says, I hate Mondays, or oh my God, it's raining again, or I got pulled off the airplane, but I paid for this seat and I'm going on this flight right now. That is freaking entitlement, and you're damn right. I will confront that person with positivity. When somebody calls my message toxic positivity, it infuriates me, and I know anger is in the lower scales of consciousness, and it doesn't benefit you at all. Traumatic event. Complex post-traumatic stress disorder comes from years and years of trauma. Years of trauma. And I almost feel defensive, like I've got to defend myself when I say positivity saved my life, and it's absolutely not toxic, because I was confronted with positivity after being in depression for several years. I was depressed for several years, and it was time for Cadillac to make that upward spiral. And I see all the pain I went through as it happened for a reason, because today I help others. And if I can help one person, then it was worth it. And it did happen for a reason. When people are going through the stages of grief, and especially when they are in shock and denial and pain and guilt, there is no positivity there. I promise you, there's not. And only thing somebody who is helping somebody go through the stages of grief is they can empathize with them. Not sympathize, but empathize. There's a story about empathy, and there is a man in a cave, low down in a cave. And another man walks by and he goes, hey, you look like you need a sandwich. Here's a sandwich. And he hands him a sandwich. That is sympathy. Empathy walks by, on the other hand. He crawls down into that dark cave, and he puts his arm around him and he says, man, it looks like you've been through something really traumatic. That is empathy. Empathy helps that person get out of that dark hole. And when you see it as, oh my God, this man just came down in this hole, put his arm around me and said, hey, I see you're here. Let's find a way out together. That's not toxic, my friend. That is not toxic. That is empathetic. You don't want sympathy. Although the people who are saying positivity is toxic, it comes off as they want sympathy for their pain and their struggle. Don't give them sympathy because it's not going to help them get up the levels of consciousness, which is where they need to be. They are in freaking pain and guilt. Shame is down at the very bottom here. When you're angry, you're still in force. Unconditional love will help you move up the levels of consciousness. This is why an excellent therapist like Sherry was to me will help you raise the levels of consciousness so you don't stay down here in the bottom. You don't want to stay there. Although when you're going through when you're going through the stages of grief, you're going to fluctuate through all of these. So when you come up and you're on the upward spiral and you're going, hey, here they come, they're coming up, they still may go back down. And that's okay. We are human. You need to feel these pains because if you repress them and you don't open up to the emotion, you will only suffer worse. Why do that? That is not toxic. I'm sorry if you think so, but you're probably not watching my video if you think positivity is toxic. You know, there's a gal that I talk about often who I used to follow on Instagram, and she's probably 30 now, and she's a lot younger than me, and she's a fitness trainer, and she has great opinions. I absolutely agree with her. I don't agree with the way she goes about confronting situations because she's in the lower levels of consciousness and she forces her opinion on others. And she thinks that she's correct, and she's not always correct in her avenue of trying to confront the situation. That's why she stays stuck in these lower levels, and she's still to this day complaining about everything. For example, the other day it's Women's History Month right now. And she's a personal trainer, so am I. I've been in the industry for a lot longer than her, and she was complaining about the industry and how men are more benefited and we get paid less and we get looked down upon, and guys come up to us in the gym and they say you're doing that wrong and you're doing this wrong, or they compliment you on how you look. Honestly, her opinions are bullying and mean. And she looks at it so incorrectly. She looks at it from force. It's like, they need to know I'm a personal trainer and I'm certified and I know all my stuff, and they need to just know that. Well, let me tell you how I handle these types of situations. That one thing she was complaining about is men come up to her in the gym and tell her she's doing something incorrectly. That happens to me so many times. So many times. I mean, I've been a trainer for almost 20 years now, and it's happened all across the board. And today I approach it with humor. I let them tell me, and then I will go, well, how should I be doing this correctly? Like, I play dumb. And when you do that, you turn it around on them, and then they're like, then you don't even have to tell them you're a trainer. You can go, well, how do you think I should do this? And one guy was telling me one time my squats were incorrect and my back was bent and I should look up at the ceiling or something like that. And my spine was out of alignment. And I was like, okay. I didn't talk to him because it just didn't give him the time of day. But if I was to approach that situation and go, how could I do this correctly? He did tell me. But here's my thought. I was training something totally different. He thought I was training legs and I was training lower back and glutes. And I know my form was correct. And you just got to add an element of humor and use those things to your advantage. She also was complaining about guys complimenting her in the gym. And I'm sorry, but if you're going to dress like that, and she also brags about dressing like that, saying that, I have the right to dress half naked. And I have the right to stick my booty out in my pictures. That she's exactly right. But when you get guys coming at you and you're doing that, what do you expect? You expected something different? There we're going into entitlement. And entitlement is something that is not toxic. It is the fact that, for example, I coach people. They go, I hate Mondays. It's Monday again, blah, 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 blah. I got a whole week to go through. That is an attitude that needs to be adjusted by the way you talk to yourself, by the way you approach your everyday, and just go. I was listening to Matthew McConaughy on Tim Ferriss's podcast, and he was talking about his book, Green Lights, Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights. Link in description below. Excellent book. If you get the audio version, he reads it. Thank me later. Anyways, the book is fantastic. At the very end of the podcast, Tim asked Matthew, he said, hey, do you have any further advice you'd like to give today? And Matthew goes, I do. And can we just use humor as a default emotion at this time? And humor will solve so much. It'll stop the pendulum from swinging. Pendulums are in reality transurfing, and they're just thought structures that everybody's thinking and that are contagious. So you can stop the pendulum from swinging by using humor, by laughing at stuff. Laugh at yourself. Laugh at how serious you're taking everything, my friend, because that girl bullied the crap out of me this summer in front of all of her followers. And it was on Instagram, and she put, during the racial thing, she wrote on her page, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. And I jumped in, and back in the ignorant times, I was reactive, I guess you could say. I said, anger never solved anything. And that's the truth. Anger never solved anything. But I said, I'm listening to people like Aaron Dowdy and Abraham Hicks. And she quickly quipped back to me, I'm not listening to those white people, and you're blinded by the light. And she bullied me. And I will look for the messages and perhaps display them up here. I won't call her out because she will come back and bully me some more. And I'm not in the mood to get reactive. I just stay out of that. I stay out of that funny pendulum. Anyways, little does she know is Abraham Hicks is a spiritual entity that's channeled through Esther Hicks. And it cracks me up that she wanted to tell me I was listening to these white people when that's a spiritual entity. And I really should have used more of a sense of humor because they kept bullying me. And she goes, you unfollowed me. And little did she know I unfollowed her a long time ago because of her toxic positivity crap. And I just go back to check on her all the time just to see how that toxic positivity is working out for her. And let's just say it's still not working out for her. She's still in force because just the other day she was complaining about women in the fitness industry. And hello, I get it. And, I could go off on a tangent about women in the fitness industry in their 50s comparing to the women in the fitness industry in their 30s and how they think they know everything. But what would he do? That's forcing my opinion on her. And she's very correct in her thoughts, in the way she's her opinions on it. Absolutely, she's correct. But her way of going about bullying people, telling them, I'm not going to listen to the white people on that because whatever reason, I get it, but and she's correct, but she didn't know that these are spiritual entities that I'm talking about, that they're channeling spiritual guides. And that's a sense of humor about all of that. And that's where I came from with that. Another thing I need to mention, as well as going, I mean, it's very much along the same lines, is there's another title that's out there called spiritual bypassing. And people are using spirituality to bypass feeling these stages of grief. That's all it is. I would never bypass feeling these feelings, because that's our gift as a human. We feel these emotions. We feel anger. We feel shame. We feel pain. If you don't feel them, you're going to suppress them, and I promise you they will come up later. So you work through those stages of grief. That's why it's called work. But if you work with your higher being, your higher self, you're not bypassing those feelings, you're getting them out. I always talk about morning pages. Write everything down, especially when you're going through the stages of grief, so you can get that out. Channel it out. Talk to your higher self. Meditate on it. Ask for guidance on what to do and how to approach it in a better fashion, how to start the upward spiral. And always feel those feelings. I think people are so scared to feel those feelings that they just want to bypass them and call it spiritual bypassing, call it toxic positivity. Don't I would never confront somebody who just lost a family member or was contemplating suicide in a positive fashion. No, you go down in that dark cave with that person, put your arm around them and say, man, it's bad down here. It's bad down here. Can I help you find a way out? All right, that's my video for today. I hope you liked it. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Share it with somebody who can benefit from it. Be sure to tell them to watch to the very end so that they get the full benefit of what toxic positivity and spiritual bypassing is, because so many people do not know. Until next time, I'll see you next time. Peace out and namaste.